Quote 1 by J.K. Rowling, a woman who once walked through years of poverty before writing pages that would change the world. It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. People often fear failure more than death itself, yet they fail to see that excessive caution is the truest failure of all. Failure doesn't kill anyone, only giving up does, like someone standing by the riverbank too, afraid of the cold and spending an entire life never knowing how the water feels. Safety never brings freedom. Only the courage to take a step forward gives life its meaning. Quote 2 by Paul Graham, a man who spoke about pain with silence, but touched the deepest corners of the human heart. When someone hurts you, they actually hurt you twice. The first time, when it happens. The second, when you keep thinking about it. Real pain happens once, but in the mind, we relive it hundreds of times, like a person scratching a wound that was almost healed, only to make it bleed again. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's choosing to stop reliving the pain every single day. Quote 3 by Trin Kong Son, the man who turned sorrow into eternal music. When we are young, we think we can easily let go of a love, because we believe another happiness will come. Youth always believes everything can be replaced, but there are things in life that come only once, a person, a glance, a fleeting moment, and then gone forever. Love is like a melody that only plays in the right rhythm with the right person in the right season. Miss one beat, and the song changes completely. Time does not take love away. It only teaches us the value of what has been lost. Quote 4 from the movie 3 Idiots, a story that inspired millions of young hearts across the world. Don't study to be successful. Study to be excellent. Then success will follow. You? When people study for fame, they only reach the level that others expect. But when they study for the love of learning, they surpass even themselves. Like a lamp that shines not for applause, but because it cannot stand the darkness, success is never the destination. It is the natural reward of true excellence. Quote 5 by Michael Jordan, a man who failed hundreds of times before becoming a legend. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. No one becomes great by never falling. They become great because they rise. Every time they fall, each missed shot is only one step closer to the one that lands. Like a blacksmith who endures thousands of strikes to forge the sharpest blade, failure is the furnace that tempers those who refuse to melt. Quote 6 by Ramona E.F. Arnett, an entrepreneur who understood that freedom is never free. Being an entrepreneur means working 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week for someone else. Freedom has a price. It demands long nights, sleepless thoughts, and days when doubt feels louder than faith. Entrepreneurs don't escape hard work. They simply trade one kind of exhaustion for another, but one that means something, like a sailor rowing through the storm, cold, soaked, exhausted, yet still moving, because the shore ahead belongs to him. Freedom is costly, but only those who dare to pay understand its worth. Quote 7 from Nguyen Phong, a philosopher who brought Eastern wisdom closer to the modern world. Any act that carries a condition is not true love. It is only an exchange. Conditional love is not giving. It's bartering with affection. Real love gives without asking for anything in return. Like the sun, it doesn't shine to be thanked. It shines because it cannot do otherwise. True love is the kind that gives endlessly because the heart itself is full. Quote 8 by George Washington, a man who led not just with power, but with dignity and compassion. How far you go in life depends on how you treat people. Weaker than you. True strength doesn't come from making others afraid, but from never needing anyone to fear you. Power without humility is only domination, never leadership. A great tree still gives shade to the one who once cut its branch. Class isn't measured by power, but by how gently you use it to protect, not to harm. Be kind, especially when you have the choice not to be. Quote 9 by Lu Xun, a writer who believed that hope is born even in darkness. Hope cannot be said to be real or false. It is like the paths on the ground. There were none to begin with, but as people walk, the path appears. Hope has no shape, yet it is what keeps people walking. No road was ever there before someone dared to take the first step. And every person who keeps moving makes the way clearer for those who follow. In the night, the one who lights a candle may not see the full light, but that light becomes a guide for others. Hope doesn't need proof. It only needs faith. Quote 10 by Confucius, the ancient teacher who showed the world that wisdom begins with self-awareness. When you see someone virtuous, think of becoming like them. When you see someone unvirtuous, examine yourself. The wise do not envy. They observe to learn. Fools look for others' faults, while the wise search for their own, like a mirror covered in dust. When the image looks unclear, you don't blame the reflection, you clean the glass. Self-reflection is the only road. That leads to clarity. Quote 11 by Chris Gardner, a man who once slept on the streets, yet built a life of purpose and dignity. Never let anyone tell you that you can't do something. There will always be people who doubt you. They'll tell you that your dreams are too big, that you're not strong enough, not smart enough. But those voices speak from their own fear, not your truth. If you let them decide your limits, you'll never know what you were capable of. Believe in your own vision, even when no one else can see it. Because faith in yourself is the first step toward every miracle. Quote 12 by Dragon Rua, a thinker who understood the uncertainty behind every great pursuit. If you don't often feel uncertain, you're probably not an entrepreneur. Uncertainty is not a flaw. It's the heartbeat of creation. Every person who dares to build something new must walk through the fog of not knowing. There's no map for innovation, only instinct and courage. If the path feels clear, you're probably walking someone else's road. Greatness doesn't begin in certainty. It begins in the unknown. Quote 13 by Martin Luther King Jr., a man who fought darkness not with hatred, but with unshakable light. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. It's easy to hate. But hate never changes anything. It only deepens the wound. True strength lies in kindness, in refusing to become what hurt you, to love in a world that's cruel. That's the greatest rebellion of all. Only light can end the night. Only love can end the war within us. Quote 14 by Karl Barth, a writer who believed in redemption more than regret. No one can go back and make a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending. You can't rewrite your past, but you can always rewrite your future. The story doesn't end until you stop turning the pages. Every sunrise says the same thing. You can begin again. Forgive yourself for yesterday. Start over, right here, right now. Quote 15 by Nguyen Nhat Anh, a Vietnamese novelist who captured the quiet tenderness of human hearts. Sometimes you love someone simply because they truly love you. Love doesn't always begin with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with warmth, with someone who sees you when you've stopped seeing yourself. The soul is made to answer when another soul calls it, with sincerity. We love not because the other is perfect, but because in their love we remember our own worth. Quote 16 by Albert Einstein, the physicist who taught the world not just about relativity, but about humility and imagination. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. When everything feels uncertain, remember, the secret is movement. Keep going, even slowly, because motion creates clarity and momentum heals confusion. Balance isn't something you find. It's something you build step by step while moving forward. The moment you stop, you fall. So, keep pedaling, even when you can't yet see where the road will end. Quote 17 by Steve Jobs, a visionary who turned simplicity into revolution. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Most people live trying to please a crowd that doesn't even notice when they disappear. But life isn't meant to be a performance. It's meant to be a truth. Follow your curiosity. Trust your inner compass. You don't owe the world perfection. You owe it authenticity. When you stop copying others, you start becoming yourself. Quote 18 by Bruce Lee, the martial artist who transformed motion into philosophy. Be water, my friend. Water is soft, but it shapes mountains. It yields, but never breaks. Be adaptable, not rigid. Flow around obstacles. Fill any space you enter. In life, power doesn't belong to the strongest, but to the most flexible. When you learn to flow, you can never be broken. Quote 19 by Aristotle, the ancient philosopher whose thoughts still guide our modern world. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Success isn't built in a day. It's built in the small, unseen moments. The choices repeated, the discipline practiced, the work done when no one's watching. Greatness is not a spark, it's a rhythm. And rhythm only comes from consistency. You don't need to do more. You just need to do what matters. Every single day. Quote 20 by Friedrich Nietzsche, a man who taught us that suffering and strength are two sides of the same coin. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Pain becomes unbearable only when it feels meaningless. But when you have a purpose, a reason that lights the dark, no obstacle can truly defeat you. People don't survive because they're strong. They survive because they have something worth surviving for. Find your why, and you'll endure any how. Quote 21 by Dalai Lama, a man who speaks of peace, not as an idea, but as a way of existing in the world. Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Kindness is not a reaction, it is a decision. The world often mistakes gentleness for weakness, but it takes great strength to remain soft in a world that keeps trying to harden you. Each time you choose to understand instead of to judge, to listen instead of to argue, you are reshaping the human story, quietly but profoundly. Anger builds walls, kindness builds bridges, and it is through those bridges that hearts, nations, and generations begin to heal. Quote 22 by Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who taught serenity in the midst of storms. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. How many nights have you spent fearing things that never came to be? How many times have you lived a pain twice, once in your mind and once in the world? The mind is a storyteller, And sometimes it is a cruel one. It invents disasters before they arrive, and then mourns them as if they were already true. Peace begins the moment you stop arguing with what is. When you learn to watch your thoughts without believing all of them, you start to live, not fear, each day. Quote, 23 by Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in a prison cell, yet emerged with forgiveness in his heart. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. We often think anger protects us, but in truth, it only chains us tighter to the ones who hurt us. Mandela forgave not because it was easy, but because his soul could no longer bear the weight of hatred. Forgiveness is not surrender, it's release. It's the moment you stop letting pain dictate who you are. You don't forgive because they deserve peace. You forgive because you do. Quote 24 by Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who wrote his wisdom in the dim light of a romance. Battlefield, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The storm will always rage outside, but calm, true calm, is an inner architecture. We waste years trying to control the uncontrollable, people, outcomes, weather, fate. But wisdom begins when we turn inward. If your mind is steady, you can walk through chaos untouched. Peace is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of control over your own thoughts. Quote 25 by Winston Churchill. A leader who knew that courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. History remembers the victors, but what it truly admires is endurance. There will be days when everything collapses, plans fail, people disappoint, dreams crumble into silence. But those are not endings. They are pauses, invitations to begin again with more clarity. The bravest souls are not the ones who never fall, but those who walk through the ruins and still choose to build again. Quote 26 by Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese sage whose silence often spoke louder than words. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. We spend years building an identity, a collection of names, titles, and expectations. But the more we cling to what we think we are, the further we drift from what we could become. Letting go is not losing. It's allowing life to move again. Cup that's already full cannot hold more water. Only when you empty it can you taste something new. In the end, wisdom is not about adding more to yourself, but about unlearning the illusions that keep you small. Freedom begins the moment you stop needing to be anyone. Quote 27 by Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who found meaning in the midst of unimaginable suffering. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. There are moments when the world strips away everything, your possessions, your plans, your control, and yet there remains one invincible thing, your choice of how to respond. Frankl discovered this truth not in comfort, but in the cold walls of a concentration camp. Even there, he realized that man is not merely a product of what happens to him, but of how he decides to see it. When you no longer control the external, you begin to master the internal, and that is where true freedom lives. Quote 28 by Maya Angelou, a poet who carried the rhythm of resilience in her voice. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Life will bruise you. It will test every soft part of you. But dignity is the art of standing tall even when the world tries to shrink you. Resilience doesn't mean pretending it doesn't hurt. It means saying, yes, it hurt. And still, I rise. Every scar becomes a story. Every story becomes wisdom. And every act of rising becomes permission for others to rise too. Pain can break you, or it can sculpt you. The choice is always yours. Quote 29, by Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman who learned courage not in peace, but in the storms of politics and loneliness. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. Fear never disappears. It simply changes shape. It lives in every new beginning, every confession, every risk that could redefine who you are. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's intimacy with it. Every time you face what terrifies you, you take something back that once belonged to fear, your freedom. Do it afraid, and fear will lose its language. Quote 30 by Epictetus, the Stoic who was once a slave, yet became one of the freest men to ever live. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The world will always test you with delay, betrayal, disappointment. But no event holds meaning on its own. Meaning is born in your response. Every insult can become a lesson. Every failure can become fuel. Every loss can become a teacher. You are not a victim of life's events. You are the interpreter of them. And when you master your reaction, you master your fate. Quote 31 by Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who carried the weight of an empire, and yet still found time to search for peace within himself. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The world is loud, but the real noise comes from inside. If your thoughts are cruel, no comfort will ever be enough. If your mind is calm, no chaos can take your peace. We live inside the stories we tell ourselves. Change the story, and you change the world you live in. Happiness was never out there. It was always built, thought by thought, in here. Quote 32 by Carl Jung, the psychologist who taught that light means nothing if we refuse to face our shadow. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. We love to chase the light, success, beauty, perfection, and yet it is our darkness that teaches us who we are. The parts of us we hide, our jealousy, fear, rage, shame, they are not enemies. They are unhealed versions of ourselves, still waiting to be understood. When you stop running from your shadow, you begin to see that it was never chasing you. It was guiding you home. Quote 33 by Desmond Tutu, the South African bishop, who fought injustice not with hatred, but with forgiveness. There is no future without forgiveness. Anger can build revolutions, but only forgiveness builds tomorrow. Forgiveness does not erase the past. It releases its grip on the future. Tutu knew that a nation can rebuild walls, but not hearts, unless mercy is stronger than revenge. And the same is true for a person. You cannot heal in the same room where hate keeps speaking. Let go, so that peace has somewhere to stay. Quote 34 by Alan Watts, the philosopher who made the wisdom of the East sing in the language of the West. You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. You are not separate from the world. You are the world, aware of itself for a brief and beautiful moment. Every breath you take is the ocean inhaling through you. Every thought is a wave returning to the same sea. We spend our lives chasing identity, forgetting that we were never the drop, but the entire ocean, dreaming of being small. You are not here to control life. You are here to witness its wonder. Quote 35 by Rumi, the Persian mystic who spoke to the soul in the language of eternity. The wound is the place where the light enters you. We spend so much time avoiding pain, but pain is not the enemy. It is the messenger. Every heartbreak, every loss, every scar is an opening. You are broken, yes, but through that crack, life breathes something divine. Healing is not about becoming who you were before. It's about becoming someone who can carry the light that entered through the wound. Quote 36 by Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, who taught us that even pain can sing if we are brave enough to listen. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. It's easy to quote and hard to live. Pain changes you. It strips away illusions and demands that you meet yourself without masks. Strength is not born from comfort, but from endurance. It's not about becoming harder, but about growing deeper. Every wound teaches resilience. Every fall teaches balance. Every heartbreak reminds you that you can survive what once felt impossible. The storm doesn't make you invincible. It teaches you how to dance with the wind. Quote 37 by Ernest Hemingway, a man who lived with both courage and chaos in his soul. The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places. There's beauty in the fracture. The Japanese have a word for it, kintsugi, the art of repairing what's broken with gold. The cracks don't hide the story. They reveal it. In the same way, your pain can become the most luminous part of you. Life will break you, but if you let it, it will also rebuild you into something truer than before. Being strong doesn't mean never breaking. It means never staying broken. Quote 38 by Henry David Thoreau, the writer who left the city to find the soul of silence. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. Dreams are not luxuries. They are necessities. They whisper who you were meant to be before the world told you who you should be. But dreams demand courage. They require stepping off the safe path and trusting that the ground will rise to meet you. Most people spend their lives building cages out of logic, but freedom belongs to those who dare to walk without a map. Your dream is not waiting for perfect timing. It's waiting for your first step. Quote 39 by Confucius, the teacher whose words still echo through centuries of human striving. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. The race is never against others. It's against your own hesitation. Progress is often invisible, measured not in leaps, but in quiet persistence. The mountain is climbed not by strength, but by consistency of step. Every day you move, even an inch. You're not the same person you were yesterday. Do not despise the slow path. The seed grows in silence long before the world sees the flower. Quote 40 by Paulo Coelho, the storyteller who turned the search for destiny into a journey of the soul. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Desire is not just longing. It's a compass. It points toward the life that is meant for you. The universe does not give us what we wish for. It gives us what we commit to. Every thought, every action, every risk you take sends a signal to the world that you are ready. Miracles are rarely loud. They happen quietly, when courage and faith finally walk in the same direction. When you dare to move, the universe begins to move with you. Quote 41 by Socrates, the man who taught the world that wisdom begins the moment we admit how little we know. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. We live in an age of noise, opinions shouted louder than truths. But wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking the questions that matter. The mind that believes it already knows has stopped learning. The humble mind, the one that wonders, listens, and doubts, is the only one that can truly grow. Ignorance wears certainty like armor. Wisdom wears humility like light. And when you finally stop pretending to know, you begin to see the world as it really is. Quote 42 by Ralph Waldo Emerson, the voice of transcendental America, a man who believed that greatness begins in solitude. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. We spend our lives looking backward or forward, chasing ghosts of regret and shadows of ambition. But the quiet truth is this: everything you need to live fully, courage, love, resilience, faith, has always been inside you. The journey was never about finding yourself. It was about remembering yourself. The stars outside may inspire you, but the fire inside, that's what lights your path. Quote 43 by Mahatma Gandhi, a man who led a revolution without a weapon and proved that gentleness can shake empires. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. It's easy to demand better leaders, better systems, better times. But the world doesn't change through speeches. It changes through example. Every act of honesty makes dishonesty weaker. Every act of compassion makes cruelty smaller. Gandhi understood. We don't need to wait for a better world. We build it. One choice, one kindness, one human being at a time. The revolution begins in the mirror. Quote 44 by Albert Camus, the philosopher of the absurd, who found beauty in rebellion and meaning in defiance. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. There will be winters in your life, the kind that freeze your heart and silence your faith. But buried beneath that cold, there is a warmth that cannot die, a small, steady flame that refuses to go out. Camus did not promise that life would be easy. He promised that meaning could be made, even in chaos. When you discover that your light survives the darkness, you stop fearing the dark. Quote 45 by Leonardo da Vinci, the man who saw no difference between art and science, because to him both were forms of wonder. Learning never exhausts the mind. Curiosity is not a hunger to be filled. It's a fire to be kept alive. The moment we stop asking why, we begin to fade. Da Vinci knew that knowledge is not about answers, it's about awe. The more he learned, the larger the mystery became. And perhaps that's the secret. A fulfilled life is not the one that knows everything, but the one that never stops marveling. Quote 46 by Leo Tolstoy, the great Russian novelist who spent his life searching for moral truth, not in theory, but in the act of living itself. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. We all dream of a better world, a cleaner sky, kinder people, fairer systems, but revolutions rarely start in parliaments or protests. They start quietly, in the heart that decides to live differently. Change is not a storm. It's a ripple, beginning with a single act of honesty, a single choice of kindness, a single refusal to be indifferent. The world shifts when you do. Quote 47 by Martin Luther King Jr., a man who turned faith into courage, and courage into freedom. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Anger may burn bright, but love burns longer. King did not fight with fists. He fought with forgiveness. He proved that moral power outlasts political power. The world will always give you reasons to hate. But every time you choose love, you create a future where hate can't breathe. The bravest act of all is to remain kind in an unkind world. Quote 48. By Jane Austen, the quiet observer of hearts, who understood that strength often hides behind grace. There's no charm equal to tenderness of heart. In a world obsessed with being right, we forget the beauty of being gentle. Tenderness is not weakness, it is precision. It knows when to hold on and when to let go. Austen taught us that true refinement is not in manners, but in empathy. To be tender is to understand that every soul is fighting a battle we cannot see, and that small kindnesses, the soft word, the patient silence, can heal what even time cannot. Quote 49. By Alan Turing, the mathematician who cracked the unbreakable code and paid the price of genius in solitude. Sometimes it is the people no one imagines anything of who do the things no one can imagine. Greatness rarely wears a crown. It hides in quiet minds, working in silence while the world looks elsewhere. Turing's life reminds us, brilliance does not always fit in comfort, and the ones who change the world are often the ones the world misunderstands most. So, if you feel unseen, unheard, unrecognized, take heart. You may just be building something the world isn't ready for yet. Quote 50 by the Buddha, whose words crossed centuries and still echo in every human heart. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. We chase peace like a traveler chasing the horizon, but peace was never ahead of us. It was waiting inside, beneath the noise of wanting, beneath the weight of memory. When you stop reaching for control and begin resting in awareness, peace reveals itself, not as a reward, but as your nature. The world outside will never stop moving, but inside, you can always choose stillness.